Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Today we're going to recap the WNBA from yesterday. We're going to change up the order of the show a little bit. MLB, soccer, NFL Power Rankings, news and notes, and best bets. So not a lot today. WNBA is where we'll start. We'll go over the results from yesterday. We'll do the standings because we only have 2 more days left of the regular season. Or no, my bad, 1. Lynx over the Suns, 78-76. Liberty over the Mystics, 87-71. Dream over the Sky, 86-70. Aces over the Storm, 85-72. And the Mercury over the Sparks, 85-81. All right, so the Liberty have the best record clinched. They're not playing for anything anymore. Minnesota was the Commissioner's Cup winner. They're going to be your 2 seed. 3-4 could flip with Connecticut and Vegas. Seattle is locked in the 5. Indy Phoenix can flip-flop. And the Dream have a 1-game lead on the Mystics. And the Chicago Sky for the last playoff spot. And then Dallas and LA are eliminated. My guess is that Atlanta gets that last spot. Granted that the Liberty are, I don't think are going to care who it is. I mean, Angel Reese is hurt, so I think the Sky would have been their toughest challenger if she was healthy. But the Mystics and the Dream, to me, are no threats to New York. So it's going to be an interesting playoffs, and we have, obviously, the games tomorrow, and then obviously the playoffs will start next week at some point. So, can't believe that this regular season of WNBA is come and gone already. All right, now move on to MLB. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to today's games. I think there's a few matinee games today. Giants over the O's 10-0. Holy crap, that's a awful loss for the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees are 4 games in the division now. Reds over the Braves 6-5. Marlins over the Dodgers 11-9. Twins over the Guardians 4-1. Rays over the Red Sox 8-3. Mets over the Nationals 10-1. Tigers over the Royals 3-1-10. A's over the Cubs 4-3. Phillies over the Brewers 5-1. Cardinals over the Pirates 3-1. Rangers over the Blue Jays 13-8. Rockies over the Diamondbacks 8-2. Angels over the White Sox 5-0. Yankees over the Mariners 11-2, and the Astros over the Padres 4-3-10. I am appalled that the Giants went in there and beat them 10-0. Holy crap! So it looks like the Yankees are probably going to win the AL East. They are up 5 games in the loss column now, and in the division, which is 5-4-4. All right, that's what I thought. All right, a couple matinee games today, 2 o'clock or 2:20. Ace Cubs from Wrigley, Brady Basso and Justin Steele. I'm gonna pull up the numbers very quickly. The Cubs are favored -162. The A's are +136. Over under 7.5 -2 each way. A's +1.5 is -64. Cubs -1.5 +136. For this one, I'm gonna go with the under because Basso's been really good, and Justin Steele, I don't trust the A's offense against him. 3 o'clock, Diamondbacks Rockies. Eduardo Rodriguez and Austin Gomber. D-backs -152. Rockies +128. Over under 10.5. Overs -124. Unders +102. D-backs -1.5 is -104. Rockies +1.5 is -115. I'm going to lay the run line with the Diamondbacks to avoid getting swept. 4 o'clock, White Sox Angels. Jared Schuster and Jack Koknowitz. Angels -152. White Sox +128. Over under 9. Overs -104. Unders -118. White Sox +1.5 is -162. Angels -1.5 +134. We'll go with the over. And by the way, tomorrow I want to do baseball power rankings and what's to come at the end of the season. All right, 6:30 Giants O's. Hayden Birdsong and Dean Kremer. O's minus 166. Giants plus 140 over under 8.5. Overs plus 102. Unders minus 128. Giants plus 1.5 is minus 52. O's minus 1.5 plus 126. Like the over at plus money. Brett, I almost combined Braves and Reds and said Breads. Braves, Reds. Spencer Schwellenbach and Jacob Junis. Braves minus 142. Reds plus 120 over under 8.5. Overs minus 115. Others minus 105. Braves minus 1.5 plus 115. Reds plus 1.5 is minus 38. I like the under, but I don't feel good about it, though. Astros, Padres. Framber Valdez and Dylan Cease. Astros minus 112. Padres minus 104 over under 7. Overs minus 120. Others minus 102. Astros minus 1.5 plus 150. Padres plus 1.5 is minus 182. I'm going with the Astros straight up minus 112. Dodgers, Marlins. Landon Knack and Ryan Weathers. Dodgers minus 174. Marlins plus 146. Over under 9. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Dodgers minus 1.5 is minus 105. Marlins plus 1.5 is minus 113. I'm going to lay the run line with the Dodgers, but I don't feel good about it. Twins, Guardians. Bailey Ober and Tanner Bibbe. Twins minus 104. Guardians minus 112. Over under 7.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 164. Guardians plus 1.5 is minus 200. This is a must for the Twins. I'm going to take him here at minus 104. Red Sox, Rays at 650. Tanner Houck and Ryan Papuai. Rays minus 118. Red Sox even money over under 7.5. Overs minus 112. Unders minus 108. Red Sox minus 1.5 plus 168. Rays plus 1.5 is minus 205. Red Sox straight up even money. I'm doing a lot of teams that are in like must-win territory. 7 o'clock, Nats, Mets. You got DJ Hers and Jose Quintana. Mets minus 162, Nats plus 136, over under 7, overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Nats plus 1.5 is minus 154, Mets minus 1.5 is plus 128. I am going to do an alternate total, and that is going to be over 7.5 at plus 110. Tigers, Royals at 7:30. Tariq Skubal and Alec Marsh. Tigers minus 134. Royals plus 114. Over under 8. Overs minus 8. Unders minus 112. Tigers minus 1.5 plus 132. Royals plus 1.5 is minus 46. The Tigers have been the surprise team to hang around in the American League race. They are ahead of the Red Sox in the standings. They might, it's looking like they're going to finish over 500, but I'm going to go with the under in this game. It's a Skubal bet. Phillies, Brewers. Aaron Nola and Freddie Peralta. Brewers minus 112. Phillies minus 104. Over under 7.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Phillies minus 1.5 is plus 155. Brewers plus 1.5 is minus 188. I'm going to go with Milwaukee's starting close to clinching that division. The Phillies are close to clinching their division too. I'm going to go with the Brewers at home, minus 112. Pirates, Cardinals at 7:45. Jake Woodford and Sonny Gray. Cards minus 184. Pirates plus 154. Over under 8. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Pirates plus 1.5 is minus 144. Cards minus 1.5 plus 120. I'm going to go with the over. 8 o'clock, Blue Jays, Rangers. Bowden Francis and Cody Bradford. Rangers minus 124. Jays plus 106. Over under 8. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Jays plus 1.5 is minus 192. Rangers minus 1.5 plus 158. I'm going to go with the over. And last but not least, 9:30. Yankees, Mariners. Nestor Cortez and Bryce Miller. Good pitching matchup. Yanks minus 124. Mariners plus 104. Or plus 106. Over under 7.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Yanks minus 1.5 plus 138. Mariners plus 1.5 is minus 166. The Yankees are close to clinching the playoffs. But if I'm them, do not celebrate unless you win the division. Because I think it's important to win the division. I'm going to go with the under, but I don't feel good about it because the Yankees went over by themselves yesterday. All right, now move on to soccer. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead today. We'll start with Champions League. Juventus over PSV 3-1. Aston Villa over Young Boys 3-0. Liverpool over Milan 3-1. Real Madrid over Stuttgart 3-1. Sporting over Lille 2-0. Bayern over Dynamo Zagreb 9-2. All right, today's game is 12:45. You have Sparta and RB Salzburg. Interesting matchup. Sparta plus 130, Salzburg plus 190, draw plus 260. I'm going with Sparta. They're playing well, plus 130. I'm surprised they're that number. Bologna and Shakhtar. Bologna minus 105, Shakhtar plus 310, draw plus 240. I'm going to go with Bologna here, minus 105. 3 o'clock, PSG and Girona. PSG minus 310, Girona 7-1. The draws plus 470. PSG's not losing this game. I'm going to go under 3.5 goals at minus 118. Man City and Inter Milan, that's a good one. Man City minus 10, Inter's plus 550, draw plus 340. I think Inter can hang around. I want to pick the draw, but I just have the balls to pick the draw. But I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at plus 126. Celtic against Slovan Bratislava. Celtic is minus 450. Slovan 11-1. The draw is 5-1. Celtic should win this game. Going over 3.5 goals plus 132. And on CBS Sports Network, Club Brugge and Dortmund. Dortmund's even money. Brugge plus 260. Draw plus 270. Brugge has been playing really well. So is Dortmund. I'm going to go with the draw at plus 270. All right, now we'll do Carabao Cup. We have games from yesterday. We have only 2 today in Carabao. Third round, Stoke and Fleetwood Town 1-1 draw. Stoke advances 2-1 on penalties. Preston Fulham 1-1 draw. Preston advances 16-15 on penalties. Crystal Palace over QPR 2-1. Everton Southampton 1-1 draw. Southampton advances 6-5 on penalties. Sheffield Wednesday over Blackpool 1-0. Brentford over Leyton Orient 3-1. Man United over Barnsley 7-0. Only 2 games today, 2:45. You have Brighton and Wolves. Brighton minus 20, Wolves 5-1. The draws plus 330. Brighton's going to win that. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at plus 126. And 3 o'clock, Coventry, Tottenham. Tottenham minus 230. Coventry's 5-1. The draws plus 330. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals at plus 114. La Liga from yesterday, Mallorca over Real Sociedad 1-0. Then we have one game today at 1 o'clock at Betis and Getafe. Betis minus 115, Getafe's plus 430, the draws plus 195. Through 5 games, Betis is in 13th and Getafe is in 18th. Pretty even teams. I'm going to go with the draw at plus 195. Dutch Eredivisie from yesterday, FC 20 over Heerenveen 2-0. Today, 2 o'clock, you have Ajax and Fortuna. Ajax is minus 370. Fortuna is plus 850. The draw is plus 410. Early standings, Ajax is in 15th and Fortuna is actually in 8th. But these 2 teams are somewhat even. I really like the draw here at plus 410. Liga MX from yesterday. America over Atlas 3-0. Athletic San Luis over Cruz Azul 3-1. Pachuca Toluca 2-2 draw, so best bet lost. Querétaro for Tigres 1-0 and UNAM over Puebla 1-0. So they were trailing in the game, Toluca. But they tie it. And then Jorge Berlanga gets the red card on Pachuca, and then it's a 2-2 draw. Oh, well. Best bet's in a funk. All right, 3 games tonight. Guadalajara and Leon at 9 o'clock. Guadalajara's minus 135. Leon's plus 340. Draw plus 270. I'm going to go with the draw plus 270. 10 o'clock, Mazatlan to Coxa. Mazatlan even money to Coxa plus 250. Draw plus 240. Mazatlan's in 14th and the Coxa's in 12th. I think the Necaxa is going to win. I'm going to take them at plus 250. At 11 o'clock, Monterrey and Juarez. Monterrey's minus 270, Juarez plus 650, draw plus 380. Obviously Monterrey's better. But my pick for this, I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals at plus 120. We do have other soccer today, but I just have to double check. Yes, MLS. 7:30 Atlanta, Miami. Atlanta plus 135, Miami plus 155, draw plus 280. Messi's back. I'm taking Miami plus 155. New England and CF Montreal. New England minus 150, Montreal plus 360. The draw is 3-1. I'm going to go with the draw at 3-1. NYCFC Philly. NYCFC minus 140, Phillies plus 320, draws plus 310. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals plus 132. Toronto Columbus. Columbus minus 5, Toronto plus 250, draw plus 270. I got to go with the reigning champs at minus 105. 8:15 on Fox Sports 1, Orlando, Charlotte. Orlando minus 40, Charlotte plus 350, draw plus 280. I'm going to do under 2.5 goals plus 118. Houston, Vancouver. Houston minus 135, Vancouver plus 310, the draw is plus 290. I'm going to be going with under 2.5 goals at plus 134. Minnesota, Cincinnati. Minnesota plus 125, Cincy plus 185, draw plus 250. Minnesota's playing well, I'm going to take them plus 125. Nashville, Chicago. Nashville minus 135, Chicago plus 330, draw plus 290. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at plus 118. KC, Colorado. KC plus 15, Colorado 2-1, the draws plus 270. Colorado's been one of the pleasant surprises this season in the league. I'm going to take him at 2-1. 9:30, Salt Lake, Dallas. Salt Lake minus 150. Dallas is plus 390. The draw is plus 270. That's a hard one, but I'm going to go with over 3.5 goals at plus 150. 10:30, Fox Sports 1, LAFC, Austin. LAFC minus 310, Austin plus 750, draw plus 410. I'm going to go with over 3.5 goals at plus 146. Portland and the Galaxy. Portland plus 105, Galaxy plus 195, draws 3-1. I'm going to go Portland at home plus 105. And last but not least, Seattle, San Jose. Seattle minus 320, San Jose plus 650, the draws plus 470. I'm going to go with over 3.5 goals at plus 142. If I'm not mistaken, I think USL's on today too. Yes, one game, 9 o'clock, New Mexico, Sacramento. New Mexico plus 155, Sacramento plus 210, the draws plus 210. So Sacramento actually has better goal differential than New Mexico, and New Mexico better record, and they're home. I'm going to go here with Sacramento to pull off the upset at plus 210. So there you have it for soccer. Now I'm going to do my NFL power rankings. for the week. So the theme is I'm just going to do takeaways from every team so far. 32 is the Carolina Panthers. I mean, there's one other team you can make a case for 32, but I got to pick the team that was blown out twice to start the season and benched their starting quarterback to be 32. They're 0-2. They got blown out by the Chargers. Next up, for the Panthers, they play at Vegas against the Raiders. My biggest takeaway for them is that they may end up better with Andy Dalton. Bryce Young has been that bad so far. Granted, their defense has been awful, but what I mean by that is that their offense may be better with Andy Dalton. But we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if they're competitive against the Raiders. The Raiders fluky kind of win against the Ravens. I don't trust them. 32, the New York Football Giants, they're 0-2. They had a terrible loss against Washington in which their kicker got injured on the first play of the game, and they refused to sign another kicker. And then they go this week at Cleveland. And let's face it, a winnable game. I mean, the Browns aren't world beaters. Deshaun Watson's their quarterback. But my biggest takeaway for the Giants is that Joe Shane is not the GM he was made out to be when he was hired. A.k.a. Josh Allen got him this job. There's been more bad than good on his resume. I mean, he's not Dave Gettleman bad, but there's some rumors that John Mara forced them to sign Jones to the contract. To me, that the truth of that's going to come out this season. If Joe Shane saves his job, that tells you that John Mara forced the Daniel Jones contract on them. Because there's so much nepotism in that organization. And I certainly believe that George Brew talks about this all the time. And he's right. There's too much nepotism in this organization. And the Jones contract, letting Barkley leave. Evan Neal's a bust. Kayvon Thibodeau's not TJ Watt by any stretch of the imagination. Not that he's a bust, but he's not a superstar. Dexter Lawrence was a Gettleman pick, but this regime did re-sign him, to be fair, which was smart. And Andrew Thomas being re-signed was smart, to be fair. But there's a lot more bad than good on Joe Shane's resume. Number 30 is the Denver Broncos. They're also 0-2. I thought about putting them at 31, but I couldn't because my pathetic football team pretty much tanked the Washington game and by not signing another kicker. And at least Sean Payton's the coach of the Broncos. So they're 0-2. They just lost at home to the Steelers, in which there's no shame of losing to the Steelers. I guess that's why I had them at 30, because the Steelers, to me, are deserve respect in terms of an opponent, especially their defense. But coming up for Denver, they're at Tampa, and my biggest takeaway is that Bo Nix might be this year's Bryce Young. Just a lot more bad than good in a rookie quarterback. But that's more on the front office than the player with the, in my opinion, a lack of talent. I mean, they do have some talent offensively. So does Carolina, but it might be part on the player too. But I think the team around them should be looked at a little bit as well. I mean, they traded Jerry Jeudy. Their offense is worse. Number 29 is the Tennessee Titans. They're 0-2. They just lost to the Jets. Will Levis pretty much tossed that game away. Coming up for them, they're hosting the Packers. My biggest takeaway, Will Levis is not the answer. The Titans have missed on so many quarterbacks post Ryan Tannehill. It's not even funny. They're going to be in the market with the Giants and some of these other teams for quarterbacks in the draft coming up. Number 28 is the New England Patriots. They're 1-1. They're coming off a competitive home loss against Seattle coming up for them tomorrow night in the Meadowlands against the New York Football Jets. I can't wait for that game, low-key. My biggest takeaway for them, Gerard Mayo, so far, in my opinion, has been the best new coach. They go in Cincinnati, find a way to win that game. Their defense was excellent. And then they're competitive with Seattle. Could have and arguably should have won that game. But they just don't have talent. That's not Gerard Mayo's fault. That's Bill Belichick's fault because he was bad at drafting. But yeah, I think Gerard Mayo's been the best new coach so far. And no, Jim Harbaugh doesn't count because he coached the 49ers a long time ago. Number 27 is the Los Angeles Rams. They're 0-2 on the year, coming off a blowout loss against Arizona. Next up, they are home against the Niners. My biggest takeaway, this is the year from Hell Team already. Cooper Kupp, IR. Puka Nacua, IR. That cornerback is on the IR. Aaron Donald retired. I mean, injuries happen, but this is an injury-prone roster, unfortunately. And there's rumors that Stafford is banged up. And maybe they do a full tank job. John Johnson, the safety, that's who's hurt. I knew someone on the Rams was injured of note. There was a defensive back. So, everybody's hurt on that team. I feel bad for Sean McVay. And the Ram fans are going to kill the team. And football is a cruel sport sometimes. I mean, I do feel bad for McVay. And now you're going to be hearing the rumors that he's going to want to leave and go to TV again because the team's might not be good. 26, the Washington Commanders are 1-1 coming off the win over the Giants, in which they probably shouldn't have won. Coming up for them, they're at the Bengals. My big takeaway, Jaden Daniels is very, very fun to watch. He's exciting. They don't win that Giants game without him. And from like a reality standpoint, using his legs and finding the open areas. And I thought that he did a good job against the Bucs too. Granted, it was mostly garbage time, but the Commander defense is awful. But they're letting the Giants go up and down the field against them. The Giants just didn't have any points because they didn't have a kicker, and their offense is limited. And but yeah, the Commanders they're going to be a fun watch because of Jaden Daniels. But that's it. 25, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 1-1 coming up. They're upset win over the Ravens coming up. They host the Panthers with a chance to go 2-1. Credit to Antonio Pierce for last week. But my big takeaway, Josh Jacobs is proving to be a big loss. They don't run the ball. And Zamir White was really good last year, but he's been a 0 this year so far. So Josh Jacobs is proving to be a big loss for that offense. 24, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 0-2 coming off the loss against the Browns coming up. They are at the Bills on Monday Night Football. So Monday Night Football is a doubleheader coming up. And my big takeaway for Jacksonville, this team's so poorly coached. Brandon Staley is why Doug Peterson is still employed. Because I'll never ever forget Brandon Staley, Justin Herbert, and the Chargers 30-0 lead, and the Jaguars came back and won. If Jim Harbaugh's the coach of the Chargers that year, Doug Peterson's probably fired after that playoff game. He's certainly not in a job right now, that's for sure. But yeah, Doug Peterson's reputation is based off of that Nick Foles run. Number 23 is the Indianapolis Colts, also 0-2. Coming off the inexplicable loss to Green Bay. Coming up for Indy, they are playing against the Bears. home. My biggest takeaway, Anthony Richardson is a project. He looked awesome against Houston last week, but he's a project. Like, he still needs things to work on. I'm not ready to panic about him yet because he's coming off the injury, but he's still a project. 22, the Cleveland Browns, they're 1-1, coming off the win over the Jaguars. Coming up, they host the Giants in a game that they absolutely have to win. My biggest takeaways, despite improvement from week 1 to week 2, Deshaun Watson, that trade is one of the two worst trades ever. The other one being potentially Bryce Young or obviously Herschel Walker, but I'm talking about 21st century. But yeah, that's a terrible trade, as we know, and that trade pretty much set the Texans up to where they are now, and it set the Browns back. And they could have still had Baker Mayfield as their quarterback and been fine. Number 21 is the Miami Dolphins. They're 1-1. Come off the blowout loss on Thursday Night Football against the Bills. Coming up for them, they are at the Seahawks. Without Tua, obviously. And my biggest takeaway is that they're going to regret the Tua contract if they aren't already. All this guy does is get hurt. I feel bad. And at some point, the Dolphins got to be looking at themselves, being like, we paid a guy that gets concussed all the time, and we're a top-heavy team to begin with, and it sucks. I mean, I understand why they did the extension, because of the upside. But there's injury risk with that. And that's where the regret comes in. Number 20 is the Green Bay Packers. They're 1-1 coming up. They are at the Titans. I had to put the two teams that injured quarterbacks together. I put the Packers ahead of Miami because the Packers at least got the win last weekend. But I'm sorry, that was in spite of Malik Willis. But my biggest takeaway is that Matt LaFleur is the most underrated coach in the league. I was not a Matt LaFleur fan originally. I thought he was a product of Aaron Rodgers. He's not. He did a great job turning that team around last season, helped develop Jordan Love, and he put on a coaching clinic against Shane Steichen and the Colts last week. So Matt LaFleur deserves credit for that win 100%. Number 19 is the Atlanta Falcons. They are 1-1 the season with a big come-from-behind win in Philadelphia on Monday Night Football coming up for them. They host the Chiefs on Sunday night. So this is just a take, but I don't think that it changes after one game. Kirk Cousins shed the he can't win in primetime narrative for at least 1 week. I think that was more bad Philly than credit Atlanta. Saquon Barkley drops the ball, and that's why Atlanta wins. Sorry. Yeah, the Falcons, I give credit for taking advantage of that, but I'm sorry, I can't shed that Kirk Cousins narrative because Saquon Barkley dropped an easy pass. And Nick Sirianni drew up weird plays. Number 18, Chicago Bears, they're 1-1. Come off the loss against the Texans. They shouldn't have even covered that game. And then coming up, they are at Indy. My biggest takeaway from them is that their flaws are showing early. I picked this team to finish last in the division. I feel really good about that pick. Everyone and their mother thought that this was a third or even a second place team because of Caleb. But they're flawed. That's why I thought they were a fraudulent, overrated team to begin with. This doesn't have a lot to do with Caleb. It has to do with the offensive line, and it has to do a little bit with their defense. This is not a one-man sport. The Bears are a flawed team, and their head coach stinks. Number 17 is the Baltimore Ravens. They are 0-2 on the season, coming off the loss against the Raiders, a game that they should have won. Coming up, they are at the Cowboys in what is a must-win for them. And arguably a must-win for Dallas, too. My biggest takeaway for Baltimore, Patrick Queen is proving to be one of the biggest free agent losses. I mean, Saquon Barkley's obviously up there. Aaron Donald, it's more of a retirement loss, but it's still a loss. Weirdly enough, Kirk Cousins yet hasn't been the case for Minnesota. And there was another one that jumped out early. Like, oh, they missed that guy. Oh, Tennessee with Derrick Henry is another one. Because then the Levis flaws wouldn't have been so bad. But yeah, Patrick Queen's up there for me and one of the 5 biggest free agent retirement losses so far. And I probably underestimated that loss on defense. 16, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-0. Coming off a win over Denver. They probably should be higher. But I just wasn't impressed with that second half against Denver. Can't get that out of my head. They're hosting the Chargers next in their home opener. And my biggest takeaway, they aren't much better than last season, sans being 2-0. Their quarterback play is a little bit better. But 18 points and 13 points. Like, this is still the same Steelers team I saw last year. Sorry. Beat the Chargers next week. Maybe I'll give you a little bit more respect. But to be fair, their defense is still really, really good. 15, the Dallas Cowboys. They are 1-1 coming off that humiliating blowout loss against the Saints. They host the Ravens next in a 4:25 game. It's going to be interesting. And my biggest takeaway for Dallas, what a difference a week makes. After that Browns game, everybody was like, hey, Cowboys, we forgot about them. No Tony Pollard, no problem. And then the Red Hot Saints come to town and kick your ass. So, yeah, the Cowboys are still the Cowboys. They look like the team that got blasted by Green Bay the other day. So, next up is 14, the New York Football Jets. 1-1 the season. Coming up, they host the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And then, obviously, they barely beat the Titans last week. Early takeaway for the Jets is that their defense might be the most overrated unit in the league. I really thought that the Jet defense was going to be really good. They let Will freaking Levis go down the field a couple times, and they lost to the Niners without Christian McCaffrey. What does that tell you? 13, the Arizona Cardinals, they're 1-1. They are coming off the blowout win over the Rams. Coming up, they host the Lions in what is one of my favorite games of the week. So this is a crazy take. They have the highest upside in the division as we speak right now. No Debo or McCaffrey on the Niners. Everyone on the Rams is hurt. And to me, Seattle's still a flawed football team. So the Cardinals, to me, have the highest upside in the division as we speak. Number 12 is Seattle Seahawks. They're 2-0. Coming off the win over New England. Next up for Seattle, they host the Dolphins with a good possibility of going 3-0. My big takeaway, despite being 2-0, their offensive line needs to be better. I did not like what I saw from that unit against New England or against even Denver in Week 1. That unit is not good. And I think it'll expose them against better competition. Number 11 is the Minnesota Vikings. They're also 2-0, coming off the big win over the Niners. Next up for them, home Houston. Dare I say another winnable game? So, my biggest takeaway for them is that the two biggest questions everybody had about this team are being answered in a positive manner. Sam Darnold's been competent, and their defense has been competent. Everybody was pointing at those two things and said last place team. Well, really Sam Darnold, but like people were talking about their defense too. But yeah, Brian Flores and obviously their coach Kevin O'Connell are doing a great job so far this year. Number 10 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 2-0, coming off the win over the Lions. Coming up, they host the 0-2 Broncos with a good chance of going 3-0. My big takeaway is that we underestimated the roster before the season. We all looked at Atlanta and said, oh, shiny new toy, Kirk Cousins. And we all thought Baker Mayfield was going to be the Daniel Jones of this year, which hasn't been the case so far. But the reality is we underestimated the roster. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. And then they have guys on defense who, although they did lose Vita Vea for the year, which is brutal. Number 9 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They're 2-0. They are coming off the win over the horrible Carolina Panthers. Next up for them, they are at Pittsburgh in a battle of two 2-0 teams. But I have to be honest, though. I need to see more to take them seriously. Beat Pittsburgh. Do some things against that defense. And maybe I'll rank you higher. Because I can't take much from a win over the Panthers and a win over the Vegas Raiders. So, yeah. Need to see more. 8 is the Detroit Lions. They're 1-1, coming off the disappointing loss against the Bucks. Next up for them, they are at Arizona. Mine's a question rather than a takeaway. Are we sure they're a championship team? I feel like everybody picked them to win the Super Bowl before the season if people weren't picking the Chiefs. And they don't perform well against the Bucks, and they barely beat the Rams in overtime. So yeah, I have some questions about Detroit. The New Orleans Saints are number 7, the 2-0 Rockstar, OC and Clint Kubiak, and the Saints come off the blowout over Dallas. Next up, they host Philly in a game which is winnable. And speaking of Clint Kubiak, my takeaway is that he has been the best coordinator so far, and honestly, it hasn't been close. Like, Derek Carr is performing well, and Kamara's running wild. So, the Saints look like the Saints from a couple years ago. 6, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're 0-2. They lost to the Chiefs. Coming up for them, they host the Commanders in a game that they absolutely have to win. They're this week's they have to win team, like, the Ravens were last week and then they lost. Now this week it's obviously Cincinnati. This is the best 0-2 team I've seen in a while. That's my takeaway. There was a weird game against New England. And they probably should have beaten the Chiefs the other day. Number 5 is the San Francisco 49ers. They are 1-1 the season, coming off the loss against Minnesota. Coming up, they are at the Rams in a game that is not fun anymore because of all the injuries. There's always a couple games where before the season, we go, oh, that's a great game. And then it's like, oh, wait, that is not a good game now. And that's the case with this one. everybody's injured. Like Puka, Kupp, Debo, McCaffrey. That game's not fun anymore. But my big takeaway for San Francisco, the road back to the Super Bowl is a lot harder. McCaffrey's going to miss a while. Debo's going to miss a couple weeks. I think Arizona's really improved in their division. But I know the Eagles and the Cowboys are both vulnerable in the East, but the Saints are better. The Bucs are better. Who knows with Jordan Love? We know Minnesota's better. Detroit might be a little vulnerable too, but I do think that the road back to the Super Bowl is a lot harder than it looked before the season. Number 4 is the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 1-1 coming off the inexplicable loss at home against the Falcons. Next up, they're at New Orleans. My takeaway, A.J. Brown's going to be missed. He was missed on Monday night. They probably win that game if he's there. And they probably blow him out if he's there, to be honest. He's that good. And they're going to miss him against the Saints. Number 3 is the Houston Texans. They are 2-0 on the season, coming off the win over the Bears. Next up for them, they are at Minnesota in a game that all of a sudden looks a little more trickier than you thought. My big takeaway for Houston is that their division looks to be a lot easier than we expected. And I mean very, very easy. Because everybody in their division's 0-2. And we overrated the Jaguars and the Colts a little bit, and Will Levis is still the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. Number 2 is the Buffalo Bills. They're 2-0 on the season with the big win over Miami. I think a lot of people are going to dismiss that because of Tua, but you got to give them credit where credit's due. Coming up, they host the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. And my big takeaway is that their offense isn't worse at all without Stephon Diggs. It just isn't. They're still scoring points. And then number 1, of course, is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 2-0, probably a couple plays away from being 0-2, but 2-0 is 2-0, and they're defending champs. So it's just the easy thing to put them at number 1. Coming off the win over the Bengals. Next up, they're at Atlanta in a game which I think is losable a little bit. My big takeaway is that with Isaiah Pacheco out, they need Travis Kelce to step up. They can't hide him in the closet anymore. Like, they need to involve him more in the offense now that Pacheco's out. And Pacheco is a huge loss. I mean, Kareem Hunt, I think, will be okay. He did an admirable job on the Browns last year, but I think Kareem Hunt's going to be good on the Chiefs, but they need Travis Kelce to step up. That's my big takeaway with Pacheco hurt. All right, so there you have it for the power rankings. Now I'm going to do my news and notes for today. I went a little long on the power rankings. It took a half hour. That's because I went on some tangents about certain teams. So, huge news in the WNBA. They're coming to Portland. The league's 15th franchise will begin play in 2026. That is wonderful news. They'll probably play at the Moda Center. And now they're just going to be an expansion draft, so that's really, really huge. The Chicago Blackhawks named their captain, Nick Foligno. I guess they didn't want to put the pressure on Connor McMichael early on. Or not Connor McMichael, Connor Bedard. I was thinking of the kid on the Capitals. So the Raptors and the Maple Leafs owners sell stake as Rogers Communications purchases 37.5 stake in Maple Leafs and Entertainment for $3.48 billion. Wow. Bryce Young pissed by benching as he was upset by Panthers' decision to start Andy Dalton. Of course he's upset. I mean, he should be mad at himself. Jalen Reagor posted an Instagram story before being cut from the Patriots practice squad. How about this? More Eagles drama. Jalen Carter benching revealed as he didn't start Monday Night Football because he was late to team event earlier in the week. Yikes. And we talked about Kareem Hunt signing with the Chiefs practice squad after Pacheco's injury. Micah Parsons says that Bryce Young he doesn't think that Bryce Young is getting a fair shake after the benching. And then LeBron made a post for Bryce Young as he sends an uplifting message. Michael Jordan's mansion is for sale as a 32,683 square foot, 19 bathroom, 9 bedroom. And the most recent asking price was $14.9 million. Deebo Samuel says now or never for the 49ers. Yeah, he's not wrong. Saquon Barkley takes the blame for the third down drop the other day. Dennis Allen quotes Kendrick Lamar's "Not Like Us" in post-game speech after blowing out the Cowboys. That's funny. So, Matt Rule, the Nebraska coach, says he saw comparisons between his quarterback Dylan Raiola and Patrick Mahomes. That's absurd. The Tennessee Vols add a talent fee as their AD plans to add 10% surcharge to all season and single game ticket sales. That's crazy. So DJ Burns is playing a board as he signs a deal with Korean Basketball League team. He's the guy that stood out in March Madness for NC State. So Tua's obviously on IR. Earliest he can come back is week 8. For me now, 3 weeks with a muscle injury, another Barca setback. That's not ideal. DeForest Buckner on injury reserve with an ankle injury, out 4 weeks. Chelsea poaches NBA executive as Sachin Gupta of the Timberwolves, the vice president of basketball operations, is taking a prominent position at Chelsea. So that's crazy. Alex Cora won't be suspended for hinting Brian Balow purposely threw at Aaron Judge. The Mets had an impromptu meeting as Pete Alonso was among those to speak before Monday's game against the Nats. There was a fight in a WNBA game between Brittany Griner and Rakia Jackson as they were ejected. And Stephen Vogt was fighting back tears talking about his team. He's going to be in play for manager of the year. It's going to be either him or the Royals manager. If the Red Sox snuck in, Cora has to be in there. But I think Stephen Vogt has to be up there for manager of the year. Him and the Royals manager. So, there you have it for news and notes. Last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. So, I'm going back to soccer. I think that they're bigger risks, but I'm more open to doing soccer. There's a couple I really liked in Champions League. I really like Sparta. EFL Cup, I liked a couple as well. But I'm going to go to MLS. And I'm going to go with the reigning champion, Columbus Crew, at even money. A 20th of a unit against Toronto for my best bet of the day. So there you have it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything. Look ahead to everything tomorrow, including Thursday Night Football. We have a NASCAR race tomorrow in Truck Series, so I have to preview and pick that from Bristol. So I hope you guys have a great day, everyone.